So what we're doing today is there are two things I want to do today. One, the 3 steps to business book success. I want to give you those 3 most important steps, the things you must do before you put pen to paper in actually writing the book. The other thing I want to do, because this is the other thing that I find that authors struggle with, is that the whole process, just taking a view at the whole process. So that's what we will be doing today. So this is who this is for. If you are a established expert and your current outreach is just not getting enough people, then you're in the right place. If you're a speaker who wants to solidify your expertise with a book that allows you to bring more assets to your speaking engagements and allows you to connect with your participants, then that's excellent. Or if you're an entrepreneur and you want to, expand and level up. And I heard, AJ, you're working on it. I can talk about this a little bit. And just, AJ, please go ahead and ask all your questions, because I'm really happy to answer all the questions. So Danielle introduced me. So talking about questions, if you have questions, we have answers. If I don't have an answer, I'll just say I don't know. But Danielle, that copyright question, tag that for later. I'm going to talk on that because I have an idea of where we're going with that. So ask your questions in the chat at any time, and Danielle is going to gather them, and I'm going to go through all your questions at the end. So I just want to start with something, because a lot of authors come to me and they say, if I build it, they will come. This kind of field of dreams thing, right? If I write it, people will buy it. And it's just not true. So as we're going through this, I want you to think about why people buy books. And there are 3 main reasons people buy books. One, they know the author. They either follow them on social media, they've heard them speak, they've heard an interview, they've read an article, they follow you on YouTube. There's some way that they know you. And I don't mean know you personally, just know you enough they trust you, like you, and are willing to buy the book. And then the second way is recommendations. Someone you trust, a friend, a family member, a colleague, a boss, an influencer. Or if there's lots of social proof. If there's one bad review on Barnes & Noble, you're probably not going to buy the book. But if there are 100 fabulous reviews, even if you don't know the author, that's an excellent recommendation. And finally, need. You need to be entertained at the beach during your holidays, so you buy a book at the airport on the way. Or you want to learn a new skill, or you improve your relationships, become healthier, better with finances. There's a need. And often there's more than one reason why people buy. It's usually need plus something else. So I want you to keep that in mind as we are going through this, because it's really important. So my number one goal today is to make sure that you start strong. That's my number one goal, because I know that 97% of people give up before they even finish writing their manuscript. 3% of people actually finish and publish. And I happen to know that a strong start is how you get to the finish line. Strong start is really important. So I'm going to show you how I work with my other clients to get them to start strong, so they don't just start, but they finish. And I've helped hundreds of authors, as Danielle says. It's a much easier path. You don't have to give up your whole life. I'm going to deal with some of these myths today too. And a book can meet your goals. So I want to talk about the hard way first, because I just really want to bust down some myths. So first, you do not have to get up at 4 a.m. to write your first draft. This is a myth. And I've heard authors, I got up at 4 a.m. while everyone was sleeping, and I wrote my book. And I believe in self-care. I believe in sleep. And I don't think you should get up at 4 a.m. to write your book. I also don't believe you should be spending hours on Google researching, getting mixed answers, and still not knowing what to do and getting lost on that. So many authors tell me it takes so much time. But here's the thing. If you're not spending those hours on Google, that's a lot less time. The other thing that I find authors do is they pray someone will buy their book. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Don't pray. We have better ways of getting people to write your book. And the other way, the hard way, this is the worst, talking about your book and never writing it, never finishing it. And then people come and say, have you written your book? And you're like, no, not yet. So that's like the worst. This is what authors tell me is the worst. So we're going to look at an easier way to write a book. And we're going to start with a strong start. So today, I'm going to talk about the 3 steps. And then I'm going to show you the entire blueprint from start to finish on what you should do. We'll talk a little bit about Author Nation Pro, and then we are going to have our Q&A. So gather all your questions. I'm here to answer them all. So the first thing you need to do is set your goals. And this may seem so obvious. You're probably sitting there going, yeah, obviously, Melody. But you would be surprised how many people do not set their goals, clear goals, before they start writing their book. They call themselves pantsters. They write their book by flying by the seat of their pants. And they tell me, but I'm not a planner. And so this is what I usually say to those people. I say, tell me this. When you have a week of vacation, do you go to the airport with no luggage, no passport, no ticket, and no destination? Oh, no, of course not. So for a 1-week vacation, you make a plan and you know where you're going. You know the hotel you're staying in. You make sure you have your passport. You pack summer clothing for a beach. You pack winter clothing for skiing. You know what you're doing. But if you're going to write a book that's going to leave a legacy and last a lifetime, you don't think you need a plan. So number one, you need to set goals so that you can have the right plan, right? My goal is to go to Hawaii, or my goal is to go to Colorado skiing. There's your first thing before you start any of the planning. I want to talk about several types of goals that you can set. One is your life goal. Sometimes a book is just on your bucket list, and it's a tremendous undertaking that has many benefits. A lot of people get over imposter syndrome writing their book. A lot of people realize they have a lot to say and what they say matters. They've learned to articulate themselves in a way that people understand them and it's clear, concise, and complete. People can't ask you questions when they're reading your book. So suddenly you have to organize your thoughts. You have to express yourself. You have to choose what to say and what not to say. And all of this becomes really vital. And that can be really important. Personal goals. You have a story, you have something to say, you have a message out there in the world, and you want other people to feel like you feel, or people feel like you used to feel, and you want to help them not feel that way anymore. Or people have the same problem that you used to have. Humans are social animals. And one of our deepest, most impactful ways to connect is through story. So when we work on nonfiction books, we always include stories. So it's no wonder people are writing their memoirs and telling their stories. This is deep. We learn, we heal, we grow, we bond through story, right? And so sometimes we just have an area that we're passionate about, and we want to share that passion. So what are your life goals? What are your personal goals for writing a book? And then we have our professional goals. Writing a book forces you to articulate your expertise. As I said earlier, readers can't ask you questions. Professionals who take the time to become experts at explaining their industry to their colleagues, their clients, and the media, they get asked to speak. They get on podcasts. They do well on podcasts. They get on more podcasts. Think about what that could do for your professional goals. Books are also the marketing tool for your personal brand or your business. They increase your authority, they set you apart from the competition, and they help you become more discoverable. I always talk about a book integrating into your business. It's not a separate piece. It's something you integrate into your business. So you really want to think about, what are your professional goals as they relate to your book? And then finally, there are the legacy goals. Your book is intellectual property and it lasts, right? It's copyrighted. You can register it as intellectual property. It can become an asset in your business. It can become an asset for your family. It can leave a legacy. It can change an industry. It can shift how people think, what people do, how people act, how people feel about important topics. So if you're a change maker, you might be leaving a legacy. Seth Godin wrote a book in 1999 called Permission Marketing. And that book changed everything about marketing. We moved from intrusive marketing tactics to self-selection. And today, laws embed practices for email marketing based on that book. So even if you've never read it or you've never heard of Seth Godin, He has changed your life. And that's a legacy. So how do you want to change the world? So all of these things you want to note in your book plan. So first off, I'd love to hear what some of your goals are. Pop them in the chat. I'd love to hear what some of your goals are. What are some of your goals for your book? I'll give you just a minute. Do you have personal goals? Do you want to become a better writer? Do you want to integrate your book into your business? Do you want to explore a topic? What are some of your goals? A legacy book. I love this. Legacy book, Danielle, for your father. Love it. Love it. That's a beautiful goal. Anyone else? What are your goals? Give people a minute to type. Maybe personal and life. Nice, AJ. Yeah, we want to narrow that down even more. And that's a really good start. Like if you have an area, that's a fabulous start. Really well done. Any others before we pop on? All right. All right. So why set goals? Oh, goal, the legacy goal, to have an impact on people from a work business perspective regarding the use and misuse of power. Oh, Evelyn, I love that. That's a brilliant goal. That's a change the world goal. I love it. So why set goals? Oh, finished story on my dad's battle with Alzheimer's. I love that, Margaret. My mother, I looked after my mother for over a decade. She had Alzheimer's. So Margaret, you and I have a lot to talk about. It's quite a journey, isn't it? So why set goals? Direction, right? Kind of like we talked about the vacation, direction. And if you have goals, someone like me can help you stay accountable. Goals will also help you feel more confident. And when you're accountable and confident, you'll end up staying on track. And when you stay on track and you're writing every day, your writing starts to flow. So goals can be really, really important. And I encourage you to set really clear goals. I'm going to tell you mistakes, no goals. Sometimes that pantser, don't do it. Vague goals are, well, I'd like it to help my business. That's not clear enough. I want to get more speaking gigs and I want to take it as an asset. And I want to get people on my email list who love listening to me speak so I can develop a relationship so I can sell my coaching packages. That's a goal, right? So get as clear as you can. And sometimes people have overwhelming goal, like scope, it's too broad. In other words, they're trying to write 3 books at once. I see this a lot with people. We want to really narrow that goal down, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about book concept later on. So I want to talk about Nancy. She was not a client. I met her. She was lovely, highly intelligent. She'd written this really valuable book. It was packed with useful information, engaging stories. It was well organized. It was all the things I preached, except one thing. She had not explicitly stated her goals, and she didn't write the book with that in mind. And she told these amazing stories in her book about other people, about celebrity stories and about her competition, about other people and how they did these wonderful things. She didn't have any of her own stories. She didn't have any client stories. So essentially, no one came to her. They all went to everyone else because she told wonderful stories about everyone else. So her book helped other people, didn't help her. And so if you want your book to help you, you need to be really clear on your goals. And you've heard people who say, my book did nothing for me. I sold 100 copies and that's it. They weren't clear on their goals. So be clear on your goals. Next, we want you to know your readers. So we've talked about what you hope to achieve from writing a book and how a book benefits your life and your career. Now we want to do the same for your readers. Some authors tell me that as long as they, write a book and they're writing it for themselves, that's fine. But then those same authors come back to me and say, nobody's buying my book. And it's like, well, because you're not writing for the readers, you're writing for yourself, which is great. Except if you want people to read the book, if you want reviews, and if you want recommendations and a return on your investment, I suggest you write to someone. And that takes, and I'm actually going to drop at the end, I'm going to drop the link to my my reader persona workbook so that you can actually work through this on your own later. But for now, I'm going to tell you that what you really need is empathy and understanding. The more empathy and understanding you have, the better you're going to know your readers, the better you're going to serve them. So the workbook that I'm going to drop in the chat at the end, it goes through goals, it goes through experiences, it goes through challenges, it goes through fears, it goes through desires, beliefs. I give you questions to ask people or questions to think about. You can really think it through. And then I help you develop that ideal reader in the workbook. Because if you can tap into your ideal reader's thoughts and their feelings and their beliefs and their challenges, then you can speak to them in a way that you can connect with them. And if you can connect with them, you can inspire them and you can change them. And if you can't connect with them, if you don't know them, you can't connect with them. And if you can't connect them, you can't change them and inspire them. If you don't change them and inspire them, they won't come and work with you. So it all ties in together. They won't review the book. It's people who are super excited about what they read, who review books, who recommend it out to others, who write reviews that help you. So I'm going to give you an example of how this works. So once you have your ideal reader in place, you can look at the before and you can look at the after. So before, the belief might be, so this is let's say this is a book for people over 50 who have kind of lost their health and they want, they kind of think it's too late for them. But somebody said, no, it's not, read this book. So before, the thought is, well, you can't lose belly fat after 50. It's just impossible. So what you know and what you want them to believe after they've read the book is that with the right lifestyle, diet, attitude, and activities, I can lose belly fat after 50. So, and you'll notice a lot of books talk about diet and activity, but not a lot of them talk about attitude and mindset. And so that's where your book you might be able to set your book apart from the others. So many books tell us what we should eat, what activities we should do. These are things we already know. I'm waiting for that magical book that will tell me how to actually do them and not just think about them, right? How do I change my attitude? How do I change my mindset? And so that'll help you come up with the right content. How do they feel? Well, they feel sad because they've been working all their lives and they raised kids and now they're 50 plus and now they don't have health and they think they're too old to go on those adventurous vacations that they dreamed of when they were 19. And so they feel sad and lost. How do you want them to feel? You want them to be feeling, I'm happy because I'm planning my vacation of a lifetime and I'm going on an adventure. And so if you know how they want them to feel, then you can move them to that with the content and what they know. And this is actually not a no. This is a belief versus a no. So no, all fats are equal. Fat is fat. Stay away from all fat. And that is what they think they know. But really it's a belief, not a fact. And so you want to move them to no, some fats are healthier than others. I can choose healthy fats that are vital to my health. And if you know that the fat, between fats and proteins and carbohydrates, if fats is the big question, you can spend more time on content there. But if you don't do the workbook, if you don't do that ideal reader, if you don't know who that is and you don't know who they are before, and you don't know who they want to be after and who you want them to be after, that content won't be exactly what you need. So the benefits of doing this process is that you come up with the right content, better content than other authors in the same niche. You can also come up with the right structure, how to structure the book to lead them through it emotionally, lead them through it knowledge-wise to get them to the end, and the right elements. And when I say elements, what I mean is in each chapter, and you've seen this in chapters, sometimes it starts with a quote or a quiz, and then you have information, and then it'll give a story, and then it might have some insights. So there are lots of elements you can choose from that go into the chapters of your book. So if you know your reader really well, you know what elements they'll respond to. Do they want journal questions? Do they want a quiz at the beginning to see if that chapter's for them? And then the right voice and the right tone. And I'm going to give you an example of a client who is not using the wrong voice and the wrong tone later on. But the idea is that if you're speaking to, I don't know, biology professors, you're going to speak differently than if you're speaking to somebody who's just thinks frogs are cool, right? And so you want to have the right voice and the right tone for the right audience, because these are the things that will get people reading your book, get people reviewing your book, get people recommending your book. And if you remember way back at the beginning, we talked about how do you get, why do people buy books? They buy books because they know the author, or it's being recommended by someone they trust, and or they have a need. And so this is the piece that gets you there. So it's really important that you know your ideal reader. And now we're going to move on to step 3. It's developing the concept. And this is where the magic happens. The best book you can write meets your goals and it meets the reader's goals to create a win-win. When authors come to me and say no one's buying their book, this is another big problem that they have. They have not really thought about what their goals are and what the reader's goals are, and they haven't put those together to create that magical book concept so that they stay on track and they have that one clear message, that one clear transformation for the reader. It's really easy to articulate it to them in their marketing material. And somebody takes a chance and reads it, reviews it, recommends it, and then we build momentum. We build a virtuous circle. So a book concept should be one sentence. And this is always really hard at the beginning. No, I have so much to say. And they write whole paragraphs about book concepts. It's like, no, it's one sentence. I'm going to give you 2 examples. I think of book concept as either the reader transformation or a big idea. A big idea often transforms an entire group of people or entire society, right? Like Seth Godin's book did. So a transformation might be change your parenting mindset to raise a child that doesn't need disciplining because they have developed their own discipline. So parents, obviously this is for parents who spend a lot of time disciplining their children, punishing them for wrongs. They feel like the relationship is going sideways and they wish they didn't have to do the disciplining. They wish they didn't feel like a cop. So this book is promising to help them show their child how to develop their own discipline so they can be a parent, not a cop. Big idea. What if businesses only sent emails to people when we have direct and express permission to do so? That's a Seth Godin, 1999, permission marketing. That's the big idea in that book. So you want a big idea. And you want it in one sentence. The benefits of this are you stay focused, you feel motivated, you write faster, and you're more confident. Why? Because from that book concept, you create an outline and a structure. And when you have an outline and you have a structure, you are going to be able to stay focused because you know exactly where you are in the book. You know what to do next. It's super simple. And that's really motivating. When you feel lost, it's so demotivating. And knowing exactly where you are, exactly what to do next can feel motivating. Knowing what's next will help you write faster. You're not trying to figure out, like, what am I writing today? You're not lost. It's super clear. And that can bring confidence. So you have an outline and a structure. So these are the first 3 steps. If you do nothing else, when you decide to write your book, do these first 3 steps. Decide on your goals, your personal goals, your life goals, your professional goals, your legacy goals. Be really clear how that's going to work. Know your ideal reader. Bring empathy into that. Understand the before and the after. I think of it as, think about the Grand Canyon. You've got 2 cliffs and this big, deep canyon, and your book fills up the empty space to help your reader walk across the bridge. That's how I think of it. And then you come to your book concept. And then you come to your book concept. And that is going to help you start strong because it's going to tie you into a very clear 1-sentence idea. And anything you write that's outside of that doesn't go in the book. Super clear. Anything you write that fits into that concept goes into the book. And so when my clients come to me and say, I don't know if this should be in the book, it's like, well, let's look at the book concept. Does that fit in? How does that fit in? How does that How does that achieve that goal for the reader? Oh, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't go in, right? It makes it a lot easier. So now you have the first 3 steps. The other thing I want to do is I want to talk about the whole process, because this is what people always ask me. They're like, oh, but wait, I need to know the whole process, right? I can't start writing until I know the very end. It's like, when I'm a hiker and I'm standing at the bottom of a mountain, I'm looking at the top of it, right? It's like, how far is it, right? You know that. It's a very natural feeling. And so I'm going to show you the entire process. In my community, we call it the Book Success Blueprint. And that's what I'm going to explain to you today. And this is it. This is an overview of the process. So I think of it as 5 stages. You have your author roadmap, and that's where you do those 3 steps we just talked about. And you get your outline done, you have your structure done, and you have that plan. So you set your goals. You know exactly where you're going. And then when you have that in place, we move into wordsmith mastery. This is where you dive into the craft of writing. You hone your skills. If you don't have your own unique voice and writing style, we can work on that, right? You can improve your storytelling techniques. Those elements I was talking about earlier, this is where you can learn the elements and start figuring out, what you need in your chapters. And then when you're ready, you move on to publish with purpose. So I offer like 4 ways to publish. I'm not a publisher, but we talk about 4 ways to publish in the community. And the first question is, what's the best for you? And so that would be your next stage. What is the best way to publish for yourself? And then once, and now you're publishing your book, the next thing is, I need to launch it. Your book is ready. Send it into the world. Stage 4. Woo! Right? No, this is often, big party, right? And then, but here's the thing, a lot of people stop here. Okay, I've launched my book. It's done. So the way I look at a launch is that the launch sets you up for long-term success. So after the launch, it is time to sustain and expand the buzz. You've built a foundation. Now we're building a long-term success. We're establishing a solid foundation for the future of you and your book, because a book is something that lasts forever and we want it to help you forever. So I know authors always ask me, it's like, can I do this? You're thinking it, you're asking it, you're dreading it. And the answer is yes. But I want to tell you, stop spending hours trying to figure it out. You don't have to get up at 4 a.m. and you don't have to pray people buy your book. I'm going to encourage you to get the right resources. I can tell you, you can fit your project into your life and you can meet your goals. And so what I'd like to do is show you my blueprint. I'm actually going to lay it out for you, so you can follow a blueprint that works. And so this is where we stand right now. So right now you have 3 choices. 1, do nothing. Go, oh my God, Melody's talking about this thing. It's just too big. I can't do this yet. I'm not ready. Number 2, go it alone. So here's the thing. I'm about to show you my entire blueprint. If you want to go it alone, start taking copious notes. That's my advice, because I'm going to lay out many steps for you. Or number 3 is let me support you. So let's just dig in to this blueprint. This is a slightly expanded version. And so what I do in the community is we take these 5 stages, and every stage is broken down into milestones. And here you can see we have some sample milestones. Now, every milestone is broken down into action steps. So as you're going through the process of writing a book, you have a milestone and then you have action steps. When you finish that stage, you move to the next stage that has milestones. Each milestone has action steps. Now I'm going to break down these 5 stages for you, and I'm going to show you most of the milestones. So this is where you're going to start taking copious notes. So stage 1 is author roadmap, plan your book. And this is where you get the guidance to turn your ideas into a tangible plan. And here are my milestones. So for each milestone, there are a bunch of action plans. I can't give you every milestone and every action plan. I'm sorry, it's too much. But I wanted you to see the milestones. If you decide you want to do this on your own, you at least have the milestones. It's at least a huge head start from where most people are. So you set your goals, you develop your ideal reader, you understand your genre, you know your competition. Because, if you know your competition, you know what they did wrong and how you can improve, and then you write a better book. That's how you get your wow, remarkable book. Gather your resources, commit to a timeline, hardest thing you'll ever do. I promise you, it's so hard, but you can do it. Develop your book concept and craft your working outline. So today we did set your goals, develop your ideal reader, and develop your book concept. We talked about those three in a little bit more detail because I think it's really important. I had a client, I know I don't make people do things. I had a client who he didn't want to do his outline. He'd been writing for 20 years. He's like, this should be easy, right? So no, it wasn't. David just kept writing and writing and writing. So finally I convinced him to do an outline, and we figured out how he could do it that made sense to him. He did a mind map. And after he did that, he's like, oh my gosh, I have all this content. I wrote this article and I have this video script. And he just started putting old stuff into the spots. And then instead of writing it all, he started working it together. I also had a client, Colleen. She wanted to do an ebook as a lead magnet. And she was trying to put everything into one book because she was a coach and she had lots of transformation. So she was trying to get every transformation. It just landed up being a big mess. So I said to her, look, we're going to do one transformation. It's going to be small. It's going to be clear. It's going to be powerful. It's going to give your clients, potential clients, a big win right away. They're going to be on your email list. And then you get to talk to them about all the other wonderful things you do. And that's what we did. We did a very tight ebook and then an email series to help bring those other transformations together. Stage 2, wordsmith mastery. This is where you're writing your book. You're going to develop your writing practice. This will last you a lifetime. You're going to finish your crappy first draft. You notice I call it a crappy first draft. There's a good reason for that. This is not grammar correct. You don't even have to spell words. This is where you're getting your ideas out. You start building your audience. And this is a big surprise for most people. But if you don't start building your audience now, when you launch the book, people aren't waiting for it. Nobody even knows about it. So you want to start talking about the book now. You edit your book, you create supplementary materials, back matter, front matter. You obtain permissions and check facts. You complete the beta reader process, and you send off ARCs. What are ARCs? ARCs are those advanced reader copies. You open a book and there are reviews of a book that's just been published. Or how do they get reviews of a book that's just been published? ARCs. You send out advanced reader copies. All right. So I just want to share a little bit of a blurb from Corey Walker. She wrote Instagram for Dummies, and she wrote Instagram for Business for Dummies. And we were talking about writing and chunking things down. And I thought what she said was really interesting. Stop trying to write a book. You're not writing a book. You're writing a chapter, and within that chapter, you're writing a section. Because it's like scheduling on your calendar. I'm going to build a house. What? Yeah. So it's you never okay, on Monday at 3, I'm going to write a book. It's like, no, you're not. You're going to write the second section of chapter 3.
Yes. And that was a great learning experience for me because, now even just writing these other ebooks, I'll say, okay, well, today I'm just going to write, 4 pages or, so knowing to chunk things out, it's so much easier and it's less frightening and all of those things.
Stop. All right. So while we're writing it, we learn to chunk things down. This is part of the writing process. I have a client, Tammy. She was writing a book and she got stuck. Other people were writing, 1,000 words at a session, and she wasn't. She felt like, writing with a handbrake on, right? She got bored of her own writing. She came to me and she said, I can't do this. I'm so bored. I don't want to write the book. Who would want to read it? And she was doing so much correct, but there's one thing she'd lost sight of, and that was her ideal reader. So we set aside some time and we looked at it. So in her day job, she was a college instructor. She taught college students. All of her writing was academic. And now she was writing a book for parents. Parents don't want an academic teacher preaching at them. They want a mentor. They want another parent. They want someone with a sense of humor, because you need a sense of humor to raise kids. And so we really talked about who she needed to be for her reader. And we went back to her ideal reader. We picked one person she could talk to. And I said, well, what tone and voice would you use with them? Remember we talked about tone and voice earlier? What tone and voice would you use with them? And she got it immediately. And then she started writing over 1,000 words in her writing sessions. Super important that you do the planning so that when you come to the writing, it's really easy for you. Then I had Bal Pawa, a doctor and a pharmacist, amazing human being. She came to me with a book almost complete, 2.5 chapters to go. She had a really long chapter and then a bunch of short chapters, and her material was really complex. So we actually took a step back and we did the goal, the ideal reader, and the concept. And after we did that, we did structure for the entire book. We did an outline for the entire book, the overall structure. We reorganized it, and then we created a chapter structure with different elements that each chapter needed. And then she was like, oh, I've got this. This I can do. It made it so much easier. So then finished our first draft, and she said she wanted to be traditionally published. So we wrote a proposal. We wrote a query letter. Off she sent. She got a deal. She got an advance. And what she wanted was to promote her ideas. She wanted to be speaking and writing. And so the publisher wanted to sell books. The publisher had all these connections for speaking gigs and writing gigs. And so they got her going on that. They made money from the book. She got what she wanted. She promoted her ideas. She transformed more people. She had a greater reach. She became known for her expertise in the medical world, which is what she wanted. She had a clinic. People could come from all over North America. And that's what she wanted, and that's what she got. Next, we publish with purpose. And this is where you decide how you'll publish. So I can't put all the milestones up here. So these milestones are samples from self-publishing, because there are 4 ways I suggest you look at publishing. There's traditional publishing, there's self-publishing, there's hybrid publishing, and there's partner publishing. And, you know, we go over the pros and cons, let you figure out what is going to be best for you in your book. And then based on that, you have a set of milestones for that. This here is for, these milestones are for self-publishing, but some of them are, these are very common milestones, which is why I've used them as an example. And we have a client, Marilyn Wilson. She's in the community. She's self-published. She wanted to put a book on Amazon because Amazon is a fabulous search engine. If you want to use it as a search engine and put a book on there for that, great idea. It's a very specific goal, isn't it? Put a book on Amazon, to use Amazon as a search engine to bring in new clients, to bring in new readers for my other books. Super clear. Love that. So we had that really tight goal. She didn't want an expensive cover. She didn't want to pay someone to make a huge expensive cover for this. So she found a pre-made site. She found one. She came to the community and asked for some help around, you know, how to space out the lettering, how to put the book, and she got some feedback, and then off she went. Launchpad, that's next. And this is pretty simple. You pick your launch strategies. We have a whole bunch. You plan your launch, right? You build your author platform, you execute your plan, and you monitor your progress. As your launch is happening, you're figuring out what's working and what's not working. So when we move to the next stage, stage 5, book buzz builder, promote your book, you are going to know what's working and what's not working. Because remember I talked about earlier, it's not like you launch and that's it. You launch and then you figure out what's working and what's not working, because now you want to continue, sustain what you're doing. And so you select your promotion strategies. I've listed 6. We have lots, but I've listed 6 for you just to give you an idea of what they might look like. You build your promotion plan, you execute your plan, and you monitor your progress. Now, I suggest that you treat book promotion a little bit like you might treat learning social media. And I'll explain what I mean. I've heard a lot of social media gurus say, don't try to learn every social media platform at once. Start with one, like, you know, start with Instagram and then learn that, because there's a learning curve for each one. So if you learn one, and once you've mastered that, you pick another, and you learn that, you master that, you pick another, you will learn faster, you'll move faster, you'll do better, you'll get better results. I feel the same way about book promotion. Some people have lots of time and they're like, I'm going to like do 4 or 5 or 6 over the next 6 months. And I've got this big plan. That's great. I often see authors who think they're going to do that peter out. And so if you think that might happen to you, my suggestion is you take one idea and you run with it, you learn it, you figure out whether it's going to work for you, if it's right, and then you pick another one and you try that out. Just like you learn Instagram and then you learn TikTok and then you learn LinkedIn. So there are different ways you can approach promotion. You can do the big plan for the entire year, and you can do that. And after time, like if you've been a published author for a year, then yeah, do it. You've experimented, right? But if you're just new, you've just finished your launch and you're feeling exhausted, pick one. Just pick one. Because the last thing I want authors to do is just stop promoting and give up. Pick something that's worked from your launch plan and keep going. Maybe it's podcasts. Maybe it was book awards. And talking about book awards, a member, B. Capitan, she co-authored a book, How to Say Cheese. And and this wasn't even me. She came into the community and another author told her about book awards. It didn't even come from me. It came from another author in the community. This author had won this huge international award. She'd been flown to China to receive it. And she was talking and she was telling other people in the community, this is how I did it. And, she explained it all. And B went, perked right up. Oh, maybe I could do that. And she went off. And so she won the Indie Book Award. And then she went on to win a whole bunch of other awards. And then that gave her the opportunity for other projects. Because one of the things B does is she partners with, she's a designer, and she partners with other authors to create incredibly wow books. So that's what she did. All right. So this is the overview of Author Nation. This is the blueprint, and we've gone over it. So if you'd like to work with me, I want to tell you how it works. In the community, you will have the Path to Publishing Toolbox. These are all the resources you need to get from A to B, or AZ, I should say. Writing in community. We have weekly writing sessions where you come. This is one of the I was actually surprised. This is like the favorite thing because there's so much accountability around this. If I show up on Monday, I'm gonna do my goals for that week. We have office hours. Whenever you have questions, pop into an office hours. I'm there to answer your questions. During office hours, we can do whatever you need to do, right? So we have office hours every week. We have Author Advantage coaching once a month. I have coaching. We can do hot seats. You can tell me what your goals are. We coach through whatever you need to coach through. If you need accountability, we do that. If you have a big question, we do that. You want to sit in a hot seat and get a bunch of ideas, we can do that. We have the Live Academy. Sometimes we bring in experts. And sometimes I do workshops. So if I have a bunch of people saying, we really want to learn about how to be an awesome podcast guest. I'm like, awesome. Let's do a Live Academy event. Let's do a workshop. And then I will deliver a workshop on the topic that people want. And then we record them. They go into our library of past trainings. So I don't add things higgledy-piggledy in the sense of, I add what you need, but I also add what you ask for. We have a Q&A corner. So if there's no event for a couple of days and you have a question, pop into the Q&A corner, ask your question. I will go and answer it, or somebody else will, or a bunch of people will answer it, giving you ideas. We have author success journals. I always suggest that authors write their monthly goals here. That's how I stay on top of you and keep you accountable. If you aren't hitting your goals, I'll be asking, because, some people come in, they want accountability. And of course, we have the exclusive community. So with Author Pro, you will be able to develop a personalized plan and gain confidence. Access personalized coaching to refine your writing skills, strengthen your author brand, or whatever you need to do. You'll move through an efficient, structured process that I've just shown you, our blueprint. And of course, you'll receive just-in-time knowledge, so you don't have to know everything up front. And anytime you have roadblocks or challenges, we'll help. You can ask questions, receive personalized feedback during events and between events. So there's always a place to go and ask a question. You'll learn effective strategies for marketing and promoting your book. You'll network with like-minded authors, build valuable connections. You'll gain the necessary tools and resources to succeed as an author. And you'll, of course, benefit from a supportive community of authors who understand your journey. So I've built this. I've put this together. I've built this because I want you to be clear on each step and where it leads. No more Google researching and feeling frustrated, right? I want to make sure you have a well-defined path to success. I want you to overcome self-doubt. I want you to be confident. I want you to find your unique voice. I want you to create a wow book with that unique voice. I want you to enjoy the process. And, I want it to be fulfilling and rewarding. I know, okay, so not all my authors enjoy every moment. I'm not promising you joy every second. But whenever you're struggling, I want to bring you back to enjoying the process. That's one of the things I want. I want people to, and if you're not enjoying it, at least finding meaning. It's fulfilling, it's rewarding. Stay on track, maintain focus, eliminate distractions, stay committed, and save time and energy by following this efficient and structured process, because it's designed to optimize your efforts. So here's the thing. So many authors tell me, I don't have the time, I don't have the focus, I don't have the motivation. But when you go through a process like this and you're not doing all those extra things and you're confident, you would be amazed. You will find the time, the focus, and the motivation. And you'll receive feedback as you go, allowing you to refine your writing and make improvements. And of course, I want you to publish and profit from your book, leverage your knowledge, leveraging the knowledge that we provide you so that you can leverage your book. All right, how much is this? We have a monthly commitment of $97 US for as long as you are in the community. You come in when your book is done. If you've got all the promotion techniques and you're feeling confident, off you go. Of course, I always want to hear back from you on how you're doing. I love celebrating authors and my authors and their author successes. And so I've opened registration. It is open until June 13th at 11:59 p.m., after which I close it. I do this because if I have people coming in all the time, I'm always trying to orient people. So what I do is we bring everyone in at once and I make sure you get through the planning. So it doesn't mean that you're a cohort in the sense of you have to, some programs you have to finish your first draft all at the same time. You have to finish editing all at the same time. No, that's not what I'm doing. We just get you started. We get that strong start together. And then you work at your own pace with the support. Some people want to take a longer time. Some people want to get it through it quicker. Either or works. So if you would like to work with the Book Success Blueprint and getting all of the support and all the resources you need to get your book done, then join me at authornationtube.com/ oh, that's the wrong one. Here, I'm going to pop that in. Oh, I put the wrong one. I'm going to pop the right one in the chat. Isn't that funny? And do you have any questions?
We do have some questions. Excuse me. We have quite a few wonderful questions. I'm going to go right to the top and start there. We were talking about ChatGPT and the legalities around copyright.
Yes.
That was the first question.
Yes, great question. So I don't have a 100% answer for you, but this is what people have. These are things people have been discussing. One, Amazon doesn't seem to want to have books that are 100% GPT. They don't want AI books. Anyone can throw out any book. AI books don't have your stories, aren't personalized. They're usually, they're not really wow books. And Amazon doesn't want their site flooded. I don't think Barnes and Noble. So a lot of businesses don't want their sites flooded. There's been talk around, can you actually copyright something you didn't produce? In the sense of you didn't produce for yourself. I mean, yeah, you wrote in the prompts, but you didn't actually write it. So can you copyright that? Because somebody else could pop something into AI and the same thing could pop up. right? So, is that can you copyright that? Probably, probably not, right? Probably not. All right. Next question.
Okay, so the next question, we were talking about like narrowing down your niche. So this is also AJ. So got an idea, but been exploring for a long time. How does one get clarity on what one's niche is?
Yeah, perfect. So I'm gonna offer everyone 30 minutes free for follow-up questions. So if AJ, I'll send a follow-up email and I'll send a booking calendar. So just set up 30 minutes with me and let's work through it, because it can take a little bit of time and we don't quite have time to go into all the details here, but I'm happy to work through that with you. And if you are at the beginning, you're probably not ready to write a book, which is fine. Still tap in. I'm an entrepreneur. I have been an entrepreneur for a long time. And one of the things, I am very good at marketing. One of the things I used to do is help businesses with market research in one of my businesses. So AJ, just book a call with me. It'll come in a follow-up email and I will help you.
And then we have Margaret didn't see the listing for stage 4. Some of those bullet points like just flashed by. Is it possible to see that slide again?
Stage 4.
Stage 4.
Stage 4. Let me find it.
If anyone else has a slide they didn't see, just let us know in the chat. I don't know if anyone else had trouble. I actually couldn't see all of this. I think there's just something wrong with my Zoom. I couldn't see all of the slide. Like it was zooming in weirdly. But I think it's just me, because no one else said they couldn't see it. So stage 4, please, Melody. Thank you.
There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Next
Big
question.
screenshot. And then Margaret, I'm actually going to ask you to unmute yourself for this, because you said you wanted a little bit more clarification on knowing your readers. So do you want to ask Melody what your question is? Do you want to unmute yourself? I don't know if you can. You unmute yourself? Margaret, are you still there? Okay, I'm trying to get Margaret to unmute, but just wanted some more clarity on knowing your reader.
Okay. That's like a really big question.
Yeah. I'm hoping there she is. Here we go.
I'm so
Margaret,
sorry. My screen kept sliding to other directions. But kind of like what AJ said, I just wanted to get more clarification on, because the book I had started on writing about caregiving for Alzheimer's patients,
Yeah.
it would probably, cross a large circle of type people who might be put in that position.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Such a great question. I hear what you're saying, because you might have people from different cultural backgrounds or different religious backgrounds. Like lot, there's a lot in there, right?
Yes.
You need to make decisions around, who is that absolute, ideal person? Is it someone who, if you follow religion, is it for someone, who follows the same religion as you, right? Or is it something, are you going to stay away from all of those types of topics and you're going to talk about something specific, like, how to live in the present with them, right? Or how to live in the past with them, right? Wherever they are, meeting them where they are is how I describe it. When I looked after my mom, I talked about meeting her where she was, because she'd be in a different decade every day, right? So
yes.
I'd meet her where she was, wherever she happened to be. That's where I went, right? And so that is something that all Alzheimer's patients experience. Well, almost all Alzheimer's patients experience, and it has nothing to do with religion or culture or how much money you have to care for your parent, right? And so you'll have to make some decisions. Book a call with me. You'll get a follow-up email. Book a call with me, and we will we'll go through that. And Margaret, I think you had another question. I'm just gonna since
you've already answered. It was about stage 4. I didn't see that slide.
Okay. But you also asked about
the total commitment.
Total commitment.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
No, the total commitment.
I'm on it.
Yes, you are, Danielle.
It is $97 a month. Period. There's no total commitment.
Okay, gotcha.
$97 a month. So if you get what you need in 4 months, it'll cost you
Mhm.
$400. If you
Okay.
get what you need in 10 months, it'll cost you $1,000. So it's
Okay.
plain out $97 a month. That's it.
Okay.
There's no
Okay.
big that 1,700. I was trying to add up, like, you know, I've put a lot of stuff in
The
there.
value.
That's the
Mhm.
value.
So when
Yeah.
when I coach people one-on-one, I charge
Mhm.
up to $300 an hour. And so
Okay.
I'm kind of taking, you know, so when I have a community, I get to work with you in group,
Mhm.
right? And so I don't need
Mhm.
to charge the
Everybody $300. Yeah.
right. I don't get to, I don't have
Thank you.
yeah, so
Mhm.
there we go. That answers.
Okay, got you.
Yes. Danielle?
Mhm. Oh, I was just going to ask if there's like is there an average time that people stay with you or that you recommend people stick around? Like, I mean, just because it's nice and round, I would imagine about a year. But
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, what is the time people usually stay?
Yeah. So it really depends. I have people, I have someone on her third book. Right. I have someone who she has a really tight deadline. And so she's trying to get it done in several months rather than a longer period of time. And I understand that she wants to get it done more quickly. So we ramped her up as quickly as we could. And so it really depends. It really, really depends. But I have people who just stay. And I have people who come for something more specific. I actually rarely have people leave. So most people just stay, to be honest with you.
Well, it's great value for money, and you're always adding content, right?
I'm always adding content, and no matter what stage you're on, I'm helping you. And I bring in other people. Like, for example, Lillian Sue is my public relations person. And so she came in and did a workshop on public relations because admittedly, that's not my area of expertise. It's a huge thing that I don't think it's fair for me to say I can do that. So I bring in, she came in and did a workshop for us on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Danielle?
Anyone else have any questions for Melody? I think that's it as far as I can tell.
Okay. Awesome.
Evelyn had to run because she had to take a dog for a walk.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. Okay, wonderful. So book a call with me. Let's talk about what you want to do, how you want to do it, and how to get you, how you're going to get that success that you're looking for. And of course, join Author Nation, $97 a month. It is incredible value. So join that and, come join me. Be so excited to see you. All right. Thank you, everyone.